Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just want to take a minute to kind of share what's been going on in our household the past 60 days. It's kind of been a bumpy ride, and we're kind of coming to the light at the end of our proverbial tunnel. And just kind of share what's happened, but most importantly, I want to give God the honor, the glory that He truly deserves over the past 60 days. So, December 12th, I'm in bed, I'm sleeping, been asleep about an hour, and I get a phone call. Phone calls from Kristen's phone. She's at work. The only thing is, it's not Kristen on the other end of the phone. It's a coworker, and she says, "Hey, Kristen's been admitted into the ER, and her heart rate, blood pressure is reaching about 180 apiece, and they think she's having a pulmonary embolism." So I hurry up, find a babysitter for the kids, drop the kids off, head over to the hospital, get in the back room, see Kristen. She's just sitting there. We're talking. Doctors come in and they say, "Hey, we're going to take her back for a CT scan, check her lungs, check her heart, see what's going on, and get a better idea of what we're looking at." Well, shortly after, about a half hour till they're done, they come back and they said that, man, the heart looks great, lungs look great. The primary thing they were looking at were the heart and lungs. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. Well, that's good news. And they did say, though, they found an incidental. And an incidental is when they find something when they're looking at the primary reason that they're there, but they find something else. And what they found was they found nodules on her thyroid. And the doctor, or the nurse at the time, she's just like, it's usually no big deal. Maybe about a 5% chance that it could be cancerous. But definitely, you want to do your due diligence. Go see a doctor. Go see a specialist. Get it checked out. And so that's what we did. We scheduled a biopsy, got the biopsy done, and then a few days later, about a week later, we get the results, and it comes back that it's 99% cancerous. And man, I was startled. And I know what you're thinking. You just found out your wife had cancer. Of course, you'll be startled. Anybody would be. And I was startled, but also for another reason. 8 years ago, my mom had cancer, and she passed away from cancer. And physically, mentally, and emotionally, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And you're looking at somebody you love, and they're going through something like cancer, and it's just hard to watch them go through that. And you try to put yourself in their shoes, and you really can't. You really don't know what it feels like to be on the other side of that scenario, unless you've actually had cancer. So from that day, once my mom passed away, I changed the way that I prayed for my family. And every day I do pray, that God protects my family from cancer. And that's why it was such a big deal. That's why it startled me. That's why it rattled me a little bit. And so during that time, we told a few people what was going on. And Kristen's like, we need to tell the kids what's going on. And I'm just like, yeah, we got to tell them anything. Parents, But she's like, no, you don't want the kids finding out. You don't want to be on the phone talking to somebody. You want the kids hears it. And you want to be able to talk to them up front like a family. And so we did. And man, you just hope and pray you never have to have that conversation with your kids, because it's hard. And it's terrible. It's a terrible conversation. But we did that. And fortunately, last Wednesday, Kristen had surgery. And it came, and they removed her thyroid, and you wouldn't know anything happened except for, now she has a scar about an inch across her neck, and it's been a hard 60 days for her family. And I know a lot of times life is like that. You don't expect it. A lot of times, you live carefree, you have no cares at all in the world, and it kind of feels like you're on an open highway, sun shining. You got your convertible top down, cruise set, hands on the steering wheel. You feel like you're in control of everything. You feel like you're right where you need to be. You're doing what you want to do. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, a tunnel comes. And as soon as you cross in that tunnel, that shining bright light fades into darkness, and you're in that tunnel. And the only thing you want to do is get out of that tunnel as fast as you possibly can. You just want to get to the other side. And when you're in that tunnel, it's slow going. It's a process. things are going on around you all day long. You don't realize it because while you're in that tunnel, I mean, you got tunnel vision. You're just thinking about what's the next thing, what's going to happen next, what are we doing next, where are we going, how do we get from here to there. And a lot of times people, you know, they're in a tunnel maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, a few months. Theirs was a few months. Some people are in a few years. And once you get out onto the other side of the tunnel, I'm not gonna lie, man, it feels great. It feels like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. It feels like, thank you, Jesus, we're out. We can get back to living our life. But if you ever do go through this process, or any process where you're just in a tunnel for an extended period of time, man, I would just encourage you, just look back in your rearview mirror and just look at what God has done for you. Because if you look back and reflect on where you're at, the things that you weren't seeing, things that you weren't paying attention to, you'll find that God was there the whole time, making a way, making a plan. And I'll give you a few examples of what that looks like. You know, when I get that phone call on December 12th, I was asleep for an hour. And when I'm sleeping, my ringer's off. I missed tons of phone calls. I missed tons of text messages because my ringer's off. And the odds are, in the past 10 years of me working nights, that my ringer was on that one time. That's 1 out of 3,650. You couldn't pick that number out if you tried to. And so, I mean, the reason why my phone rang that day, I believe it, God was in control. God wanted me to get that phone call. God was there. When I look back at the CT scan, you know, the doctors, for the medical professionals, the science behind it, I mean, they're going to look at the heart and the lungs. That's their primary objective, to see what's going on with considering what was happening. I mean, that makes sense, but I truly believe the primary reason wasn't the heart and lungs that day. I truly believe that was just incidental. That's God saying, hey, look, heart and lungs are great. You're welcome. Be thankful. Be grateful. That's God. The primary reason we were there that day, I believe, is for her nodules. Like I said earlier, you know, I've been praying for the past 8 years that God protects his family from cancer. And I believe that's why we were there, because God was there. He was making a way. You know, when we were telling the kids about what's going on with Kristen, that was like the hardest night of my life, because I'm driving. I'm in my truck thinking about, how do you tell kids their mom has cancer? You just don't know how kids are going to take it, because they're between the ages of 5 and 10, and cancer is like so embedded in our society. I mean, my youngest son, Tyler, he knows what cancer is. You know, you just don't realize it. But I got a 40-minute drive from work to home, and I'm just crying. I'm an ugly crier. I don't like to do it, but I'm terrible at it. But yeah, so I'm just crying. I get 2 miles from the house, and I'm just praying, God, man, I don't want to tell my kids this. You got to help me out. Like, do the talking, do the speaking, do whatever, because I just can't. So I get home. It's a weird thing, because I'm a terrible storyteller, man. I start here when I should start there, and I missed a detail there that should have been there, and then blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. I have never been more clear, concise. Timeline was on point. I mean, for 5 and 10-year-olds, I mean, it was phenomenal. But you know, that wasn't me. I mean, that was God speaking through me. During the surgery, it's an hour procedure. Surgeon came out, and she said, hour and 20 minutes later, she said, hey, sorry it took a little longer than normal, but the pathologist, when we removed part of the thyroid, was doing what pathologists do. They were looking for something, cutting it up, dicing it up, and we know your biopsy said it was a 99% chance it was cancer, but when he was doing a biopsy, he couldn't find any cancer. It was God. So through it all, I mean, she just has a little scar on her neck. It's about 1 inch. And I know nobody wants a scar. And, you know, I just hope if you see Kristen and you see her scar, you don't see it as a terrible thing or a bad thing that happened, or, oh, man, what was that? You know, I hope you see it the way I see it. I hope the kids see it the way I see it. But the way I see it is that's an answered prayer. That was 8 years in the making. And that's God. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who was praying for me and my family, and everybody's trying to help out. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Have a great day.